Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into one of the most shocking mysteries ever erased from history. Secrets so powerful they were buried for centuries. What if I told you that a crucial figure in biblical history was deliberately removed, her voice silenced, and her teachings erased? Why? Because her knowledge was too dangerous, too revolutionary. Imagine an ancient scroll hidden away for nearly 2,000 years, a gospel that challenges everything we thought we knew about Jesus, his disciples, and the true nature of salvation. A gospel that speaks not of blind obedience, but of divine knowledge. This is the gospel of Mary Magdalene, one of the most controversial and suppressed texts in Christian history. Who was Mary Magdalene? Was she truly just a devoted follower? Or was she the closest confidant of Jesus, entrusted with wisdom the other disciples could not comprehend? And most importantly, why was her gospel erased? Tonight, we uncover the hidden teachings of Mary Magdalene, a message so radical, so transformative, that it threatened the very foundation of early Christianity. The Lost Gospel, a forbidden discovery. In 1896, in a Cairo marketplace, a mysterious papyrus surfaced, a fragmented text written in Coptic, later identified as the Gospel of Mary. But unlike the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, this gospel wasn't included in the Bible. It was hidden, buried by history. Why? Because within its pages, Mary Magdalene wasn't just a follower. She was the one Jesus revealed his deepest, most secret teachings to. Teachings that defied religious dogma, teachings that threatened the authority of the early church. And so, her gospel was silenced. But what did it say? Mary's secret knowledge, what Jesus taught in private. The Gospel of Mary begins in the aftermath of the resurrection. The disciples are lost, afraid, and uncertain of what to do next. And then, Mary steps forward. She tells them, "Do not weep, do not grieve nor be unsettled, for his grace will be with you all, and will protect you." Immediately, Peter and the others realize that Mary has been given knowledge that they have not. She begins to recount what Jesus revealed to her in private, a secret, spiritual path to enlightenment. But this path is not about sin, punishment, or the wrath of God. Instead, Jesus teaches Mary that salvation is achieved through gnosis, divine knowledge. He says, all things are interwoven and take their place in one another, and they will be resolved again into their own roots. A teaching that suggests that the soul, rather than being damned or saved by external forces, is on a journey of spiritual awakening. But what happens next shatters everything. The disciples' jealousy, the moment Mary was silenced. As Mary finishes speaking, an argument erupts. Peter stands up, furious. Did the Savior really speak these things to you privately, and not to us? Are we to listen to a woman? Did he prefer her to us? At this moment, we witness the first attempt to erase Mary Magdalene's authority. Peter, the man who would later be called the Rock of the Church, refuses to accept that Jesus would reveal the greatest spiritual truths to a woman, especially one who had been so mysteriously close to him. But another disciple, Levi, defends her. If the Savior made her worthy, who are you to reject her? Surely the Savior knows her very well. That is why he loved her more than us. Did you catch that? That is why he loved her more than us. This single line has sparked centuries of debate. What was Mary Magdalene's true relationship with Jesus? Was she more than just a disciple? Was she his closest companion, his spiritual equal? The early church did not want these questions to be asked, and so the Gospel of Mary was buried, but the mystery deepens. The erased pages, what else did they hide? One of the most disturbing facts about the Gospel of Mary is that it is missing crucial pages. The manuscript we have begins at chapter 4, meaning the first 3 chapters are completely gone. And then, right at the moment when Mary describes the secret knowledge Jesus gave her, 4 more pages are missing. Did these lost pages contain Jesus' most radical teachings? Teachings that directly oppose the growing structure of the church? Perhaps a message that told believers they did not need a church, priests, or religious laws to reach God? One thing is certain, someone wanted these words to disappear. Mary Magdalene, the first teacher of Christianity? If we piece together what remains of her gospel, along with references to her in other ancient texts, a stunning picture emerges. Mary Magdalene wasn't just a follower. She was the first preacher of Christianity. She was the first to witness the resurrection. She was the first to proclaim the message of Jesus' victory over death. In fact, in the Gospel of Philip, another suppressed text, she is called the companion of the Savior. And yet the church chose Peter, Paul, and others to lead the faith. erasing Mary's role completely. Why? Because if Mary had been accepted as the true successor of Jesus, Christianity might have been very different. Instead of a rigid hierarchy controlled by men, it could have been a spiritual movement centered on inner enlightenment, divine knowledge, and the equality of all believers, men and women alike. But the story doesn't end here. The Gnostic truth, what Mary's gospel reveals about the soul. One of the most astonishing aspects of the Gospel of Mary is its vision of the soul's journey after death. Mary describes how the soul must pass through different levels of existence, overcoming the forces of darkness, ignorance, and material desire. At one point, the soul is confronted by a force called the power of wrath, which tries to drag it back into the physical world. But the enlightened soul answers, "You do not see me, nor recognize me. I have undone the chains of forgetfulness. I am free." This is not the message of sin and redemption we see in traditional Christianity. This is a radical spiritual awakening, one that tells us that the true battle is not against external enemies, but against the forces of ignorance within ourselves. A message of liberation, a message of empowerment, and a message that the early church could not allow to survive. The final suppression, how Mary was turned into a sinner. By the time Christianity became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire, Mary Magdalene's gospel was lost, but the campaign to erase her did not stop there. In 591 AD, Pope Gregory I delivered a sermon that would seal her fate. He declared that Mary Magdalene was not just a disciple, she was a prostitute, a false claim, a deliberate lie, and it worked. For centuries, Mary Magdalene was remembered not as the first teacher of Christianity, not as the bearer of Jesus' secret teachings, but as a fallen woman, unworthy of the wisdom she carried. But now, the truth is emerging. The gospel that shattered the illusion. When we think of biblical authority, we often picture Peter, Paul, and the writers of the New Testament. But what if the foundation of early Christianity was built on selective silence, a deliberate effort to erase voices that didn't fit the mold? The Gospel of Mary was one of those voices. This wasn't just a manuscript, it was a challenge to power, a direct threat to the growing institution of the church. Because within its pages, Jesus is not a ruler demanding blind submission. He is a guide, revealing a path to enlightenment, one that didn't require priests, rituals, or religious law. And who did he entrust with this revelation? Not Peter, not John, but Mary Magdalene. This changes everything. If Mary had been accepted as the true messenger of Jesus' final teachings, the entire structure of Christianity would have been different. No hierarchy, no rigid control, just pure spiritual transformation. But this vision was dangerous. Why was Mary a threat? To understand why Mary's gospel was buried, we have to step into the mindset of the early church leaders. They weren't just spreading faith, they were building an empire. And an empire requires control. If people believed that they could access the divine without priests, without churches, without rules imposed by men, what would that mean for those in power? It would mean the collapse of their authority. And so, a decision was made. Mary Magdalene's role had to be erased, her gospel suppressed, her teachings discarded, her legacy twisted into something unrecognizable. And the most effective way to do this? To rewrite her identity. From spiritual leader to fallen woman. In the centuries that followed, Mary's name didn't vanish completely. But it wasn't her true self that survived. It was a fabricated version, one designed to discredit her entirely. By the time Pope Gregory I declared in 591 AD that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, the damage was complete. A woman who was once Jesus' closest confidant, the first to witness his resurrection, was now remembered as nothing more than a sinful outcast. A lie that lasted for over 1,000 years. And the reason behind it? Because if people knew the truth, if they understood that Jesus himself entrusted his deepest wisdom to Mary, not to Peter, then the entire foundation of religious authority would crumble. The lost pages, the final mystery. But there's one more question. If the church went to such extreme lengths to suppress Mary's gospel, what was in the missing pages? The first 3 chapters are gone. 4 more pages disappear at the exact moment Mary reveals the secret teachings of Jesus. 4 more pages disappear at the exact moment Mary reveals the secret teachings of Jesus. What knowledge was so earth-shattering that it had to be erased entirely? Some scholars believe it contained Jesus' final revelations, a vision of the soul's journey beyond this world, unshackled from religious dogma. A truth that would have freed humanity from fear and manipulation. A truth that we were never meant to know. But what if that truth is resurfacing? What if the time has come to restore Mary's voice and reclaim the wisdom they tried to bury? The answer lies in the pages that remain, and what they reveal changes everything.